listening to a band of gamers podcasting since 2012. Three older best mates share a few laughs and keep you current with discussions about the latest news, consoles, and games. Join the conversation and the community. abandofgamers.com. Hey, welcome back. What's going on?
And he's hit record. Another episode. A Band of Gamers podcast.
I better double check now. You said hit record. Yep, recording.
Thank you for tuning in.
I don't edit it much.
Right?
We just nail it. First take. It's like going into the music studio, you know? All prepared and shit.
Oh,
yeah.
Supposed to be prepared?
Yeah, and we are prepared. This episode,
we
got some stuff here. We've talked about the state of Sony in the last few episodes, but now it's the state of play. That's up for discussion. Microsoft is out, and Sony is in.
What?
On Discord, huh?
Oh.
Microsoft furthers their commitment to PC gaming with more features and a more lucrative cut for partners. Xbox adds frames to 74 more games on their Series X and S.
Whoa.
A PlayStation fan favorite is now an Olympic sport. We got what's in our pint glasses. I heard Shane, and I think I see Carl just opening and pouring one over there. We're getting everything all ready there. Carl's got his impressions of the PS5 exclusive game Returnal. Man, I've been seeing a lot about this game, and I've purposefully not read or watched or listened to any of it. I want to hear Carl's impressions. That's how we do it.
Nice. Yeah, people are fired up over Returnal. This is going to be good. This is going to be a hot topic, kids.
Can't wait to hear what he's got to say about it. And then we got an easy PlayStation Platinum trophy to grow that e-penis, increase that number. Thank you for joining us. You can check out our past episodes. They're all out there on the internet, wherever you listen, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, Pandora, YouTube, and everywhere else fine podcasts are served. Be sure to subscribe or follow. That's the thing now. Subscribe is like pay money to subscribe. They've changed the verbiage. It's now follow. So be sure and follow, because we're not charging you a penny, but be sure and follow and get our episodes as soon as they're released. I'm Joel, your MC, recording in Brookfield, Wisconsin, USA. Joining me on this podcast journey, the two best co-hosts in all of video game podcasting.
Yay! He ain't lying.
First of all, from Birmingham, England. That's him in the corner. That's him in the spotlight. I'm not singing this, Carl. Losing his reflexes. It's Carl. Losing his reflexes, eh?
Yeah, I was so hoping you were going to sing that. I even put a few little dots in there. Thought I'd drag it out. You might get a little tune out of Shafinsky there. But yeah, no, I'm getting older. I'm losing my reflexes.
Rip.
And boy, does it show in some of these games. But we'll come to that in a bit.
Oh, no. And from Vancouver, Canada, trying to keep a view. It's Shane. Hey, Shane.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, no. It was an awful tune. But anyway, had to roll with Palmer on that one. He's a beaut, so why not?
Is that a tune lyric too? Trying to keep a view? I don't know what's going on here.
Isn't that the next line, I think, or something? I don't know.
Okay. It's all REM this episode, hey?
I hope not.
The first and last time.
They had a couple good tunes. That's about it.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
PlayStation State of Play. End of April, this thing came out. I watched it. It was 20-some minutes? Shane, right, Carl, you both checked this out?
Yeah.
All right.
Packed with new games.
There you go. Yeah. Packed with new games. 2 for 2 minutes? 2-3 minutes? Subnautica Below Zero. What is this? Some extra content? It's a sequel.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was DLC or something, because it looked a lot like the other game, just with some different bits.
Yeah, it was a bit confusing the way they laid it out, because they were kind of like, oh, if you own the original, you get a free upgrade. And you're thinking, well, do you get this for free or what? But no, if you own the original game on PS4, you get a free PS5 upgrade of that game. But then you can also then buy the sequel. It would look like Subnautica. A lot of people were really into that game, and not one I've played myself yet, but this looked a little bit more of the same, and really pushing that DualSense controller as well, for some of the features in there, and pretty quick as well. May 21st, I think it dropped. So might be one to look out for people if you're needing something to play and you're after a bit more of that Subnautica taste.
Then they also showed Among Us, the hit game all the kids are talking about. At least the neighbor kids are talking about it. That's all. That's the only perspective on children I've got, the two neighbor kids. But Among Us. coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 later this year with Ratchet and Clank skins. There you go.
Yeah. Kind of neat. They look kind of neat in the game. I don't really know too much about it, but like Joel said, man, the kids are all over. If you got kids, you know what we're talking about, man. You know, man. Probably sick of the game, but hey, it's coming to console and you get a little ratchety and clankety coming. So,
yeah. And speaking of Ratchet and Clank, that was the main portion of this 20 minutes was a good 15 minutes or so, roughly, of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I don't have a PlayStation 5, so I can't watch and get excited. I have nothing. Can't play this. I'm trying not to get too excited for something I can't play, right?
Yet.
Yeah. Ooh.
It's almost January 1st, so.
That's my goal, whole year. We'll see if I make it. I keep hovering over the Best Buy store and seeing if it's in stock. Just looking.
Ooh, exactly.
Just a quick check. Not that I would.
Well, yeah, because you do a podcast about video gaming. You got to keep your eye on the prize at times. You got to know what's out there, right? That's what we do. We know what's out there.
Got to get that killer game that everybody needs on the PlayStation 5, Astrobot.
It is a good game, though, dude.
No, don't you jest.
No, I'm not jesting. That's the game that I'm looking at. I swear, it comes packed in, right? That's honestly, that's the one I want to play. But
it's awesome.
$500 to play that seems. Well, obviously, it'll be around a while. We'll play some
in
other
due
stuff
time.
Yeah. It'll be cheap.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
All right. Ratchet and Clank looks cheeky son, and Ratchet and Clank looks so good though. Like I mean, I know it's first of all, don't have a state of play and don't call it a state of play for one game and then two tiny little adverts for something else. I mean, it annoyed me. I was expecting a lot more than just seeing Ratchet and Clank footage. As good as this footage does look, and it does look like a stunning game, and it really is showing off the capabilities of the PlayStation 5, and it looks great. The new character in there and stuff. It's really cool. I love the split dimension thing. The fact that they're on about not having any loading and all this kind of this effectively pulling yourself into another world is kind of like the loading sequence as you go through. I think that's pretty clever. It looks super pretty, man. I'm looking forward to playing it. But I don't think we needed a state of play for this, really. And did we need this footage again?
Yeah. I mean, they're hyping it up. I mean, it's out only in a matter of weeks at this point. We're probably less than a month away from it. I think it's June 11th. I believe the game comes out, and one last straw to get people fired up, get those pre-orders in from your online retailers. Get people fired up for it, right? But how would it have been if they did that and then all of a sudden there's like a screen, I wouldn't say screenshot, but like an image of like Kratos at the end? People would be losing their mind, man. Just throw these little teasers in, man. They got all these games they're working on, but they seem to stay quiet about a lot of stuff. And here we go, man. We got 15 minutes of Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, the more we see these extended showings of the games that have already been announced, the less I feel that some of these games are going to be coming out this year. And it's not been. I mean, we've had a couple of exclusives out, and I'm sure they'll be great. But it's just one of those you're kind of expecting a little bit more. When there's like a state of play announced, I'm thinking I'm expecting a little bit. Like Shane says, a little taste, a little tease of something. But. Yeah, left me feeling a little bit, even though I'm looking forward to the game and I'll get it. It still left me feeling a bit flat.
Exactly. Like you're already getting it. So you're already, into it. You don't want to see a bunch of spoilers. You want to play through, you want to experience the game. The last thing you want to see is 15 minutes of gameplay or whatnot, right? Especially when you have a conference, I guess you'd say, or the state of whatever they want to describe them as. That's 22 minutes long, and 15 minutes is on a game that's out in a couple weeks. So,
yeah, this is what this is for, right? It's got to be for people on the fence or people who maybe aren't familiar with Ratchet and Clank, got a new PlayStation 5, or wondering what to play. It was a 15-minute infomercial for those people. It looks dazzling. It looks like it's going to be a great game. But for fans of the franchise, and for a lot of us out there who have a PlayStation 5 and like Ratchet and Clank, you're buying it, right? You've seen enough.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch that 15-minute infomercial. Right. I don't know if it has
3 easy payments in 1995. Sorry, no CODs accepted.
The $70 game. So you got to up it.
Yeah. We'll talk more about $70 games in a bit, but I mean, for me, they did kind of stress the ability of, the fact that you don't have to have played any of the previous games. They were quite, in the little discussion over the top, they were like, it's completely standalone. If you haven't been involved, haven't played any of the previous games, you're okay. You'll still be able to follow what's going on. And I think they're kind of thinking about that generational jump, people who've probably picked up the PlayStation 5 as their first console, maybe moved across to Microsoft or whatever. But they did stress that. So, and it does look very much like a standalone thing. It doesn't, having completed the last one on PlayStation 4, which was Ace, it doesn't seem to have any much of a bearing on that one. So, yeah, good if you're coming in, fresh.
And if you order now, you get a free fanny pack. Put your controller in.
What?
I don't know. Just roll on with that infomercial. It's already old.
Take your rent to your mate's house.
Sony in the news here for the second bit partners up with Discord. This is kind of a surprise news story here because we have talked about Microsoft was looking to acquire Discord for $10 billion. Didn't do so. Apparently, Discord considering going out to the stock, making their own IPO, making some money that way, probably a lot more than $10 billion. But Sony's partnered up with Discord. So they didn't buy them, but they partnered up. I don't know if there's any grease into the palms there, if there's any money exchanging hands. I'm assuming that's happening a little bit.
I think they bought a little tiny minority share, haven't they? And,
really?
They took a minority stake in the business before it's floated, by the sound of it.
Oh.
So and I don't think it's very large, but I guess it's what they're looking at is integrating Discord into their platforms going forward, which makes a lot of sense to me, especially for these cross-platform games, where everyone's playing on Apex and Fortnite and Rocket League on PC, and they're all using Discord to chat. If that's integrated into the PlayStation, and I'm assuming the Xbox will be the same, they'll just it'll be a little cut and they'll get the same thing. Everyone will use that as the the way to chat to their mates. So it totally makes sense.
Interesting. I didn't realize it was a little bit of an investment.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
And why spend $10 billion if you can just partner up with them for a little bit of an investment?
Right. Well, and Discord clearly wants to remain steering their own ship, and who wouldn't? I mean, why would they get out at this point? There's still a long way to go and a lot of potential for what they can use that platform for going forward. Even into the next generation and the generation after that. I mean, it's only the beginning for Discord. They're still rather young, so why not get a nice investment, partner up with one of the big three, regardless of who it is, and go forward and still call your shots and whatnot.
And they get their hooks into any of the big three, one or two or three, all three of the big. If they get hooks into any of those, it's just skyrocketing in value.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Although my favourite thing about this was the reaction on social media, which, as much as we malign social media, this was funny because obviously a couple of weeks before it was Xbox buying them, and, we had all the Sony people going, oh my God, what do you want to buy? The Discord suck, this one. And then the Xbox guys are saying it's great. And then it's literally a role reversal. It's so funny to be like, Xbox didn't want them, Sony having sloppy seconds. There we go.
Great.
In other news, Microsoft's taking less from developers. This is matching what the Epic Store's take is. So Microsoft is reducing the cut it takes from PC games sold on its storefront from 30% down to 12%. They're giving up 18% of the revenue share.
Wow. Yikes.
Pretty big. And obviously they want to, let's take it from the horse's mouth here. We got a quote from Sarah Bond, who's the head of game creator experience and the ecosystem at Microsoft. We got this off of LinkedIn. And she said, in addition to helping with the creation and reach of games, today we are announcing we're updating our Microsoft Store terms for PC game developers. Starting on August 1st, the developer share of Microsoft Store PC games sales revenue will increase to 88% from the current 70%. Having a clear, no strings attached revenue share means developers can bring more games to more players and find greater commercial success from doing so. All this to help reduce friction, increase the financial opportunity, and let game developers do what they love, make games. Which are going to do that anyway, right? They want to sell more of those games in the Microsoft Store, competing with Epic and with Steam.
Yeah, I think they're just a little bit of foresight, trying to avoid a black eye, we'll say, because it's gonna. I mean, it's come out in this Epic Apple lawsuit that's going down, and I mean, it's only a matter. I mean, it spreads, and everybody's got to be doing the same, and it's just okay, jump it, and let's cut what we're charging, and then hey, look, see, we only charge 12%. Just jump in there. I think
it's an interesting one because they're obviously cutting their prices to match kind of what Epic charge, I guess. But and what you just said there, Shane, about this lawsuit between Apple and Epic, it's very interesting to see where Apple are coming from in terms of, they're saying, look, we don't want to have Epic on the platform. We're not interested in this because they're losing money. That it's going to take them 8 years to break even or whatever. Like Epic lost just from the store alone, because they give away all these free games, right? So that's the hook to get you into the store. And then if you're like me, you've never bought a game on the Epic Games Store, but you've got 120 games that they've given away since the store's been started in 2019. So 2019, they lost $181 million on the store. 2020, they lost 273 million on the store. Just on the storefront, this is from giving away, and from charging those margins, Joel, and from giving away those games. So I'm sure Xbox can eat it. They're not giving away anything free other than games of gold and stuff like that. But it just, I guess what it's showing is a level of competitiveness now. And and if people are getting this margin somewhere, I'm not sure what Steam charge. I think it might be around 15%. Something along those lines, but it's interesting to see what's going to happen. And obviously, low prices will equal exclusives, perhaps further down the line as well.
Yeah, there's some other news came out of this. Well, related news. There was an article up on Game Pass blogs by Matt Booty, head of Xbox Game Studios. They also announced that Halo Infinite will support multiplayer, cross-play, and cross-progression.
Yes.
When it releases later this year, that means if you're playing on PC, you can play with your friends on Xbox One and on the Series S and X. It also means that your multiplayer customization and progress will follow you across all the platforms. They're also using the cloud to make console gaming accessible on PCs. So not just on your phones or your tablets, you'll be able to play on your PC via the cloud. So you won't need a super fancy gaming rig necessarily. You'll be able to use the power of the cloud, play some of these PC games via, well, of course, you can play them on Game Pass Ultimate, lower spec PCs. We believe it's important that players have a choice in where they purchase games. We want to make accessing content even easier. This is Matt Booty's quote. We know that the PC community uses multiple storefronts. Back to that storefront again, which is why we also brought Sea of Thieves, Halo the Master Chief Collection, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Age of Empires 1, 2, and 3 Definitive Edition, and Forza Horizon 4 to Steam. Putting their games on Steam, which they've already done. So just a bigger commitment, I think, to PC gaming and Game Pass Ultimate. And we talked about this before. They don't care if they sell you the box. They just want you subscribing to that service, and you can play it on whatever unit you got, your phone, your tablet, the Xbox, even a lower spec PC via the cloud.
Yeah, that's a great move. I'd love to be able to stream the Ultimate games on PC. That'd be great.
How's your PC hanging? You bought a really nice souped up PC a couple of years ago now. This is why I don't buy PCs. I'm sure Shane, same reason. We always like to having the box under the telly.
Basically.
Because we don't have to dick around with graphics cards and all that, all that stuff. How's your really high-end PC doing now here? Was it 3 years, 4 years later?
Yeah, I think I've had it. I think it's a couple of years old now. I mean, it wasn't really high-end. I probably paid about $1,000 for it a couple of years ago. So I think there's only it's got a 6 gig card in it, 1070 something. But the thing about the graphics card is, like the PC that I gave to Luke when a few years ago now, and that must be 6 years maybe, and that's got a 960 in it, or something like that. It's a 900 series card, 960 maybe, and that graphics card it's a machine. It just chugs along for years, and it still performs pretty well. So I think even on a 6-year-old PC, you can still play a lot of these games on at least medium settings, and they run really well. So mine holds up absolutely fine. I'm assuming, it'll still run games like Halo and stuff when that comes out. And, now we can play that, cross-play that, Joel. That's going to be cool. We both get it on Game Pass. I can play on PC. You can play on the console. Probably chat on Discord.
Right.
But, it's holding up fine. And to be honest, I don't tend to replace components very much. So if I ever want a new PC, I'll probably just buy a new PC. At prices, and then hand this one down, or keep it as a spare.
I don't need it. Thank you. Though.
Yeah, I was going to say shipping will be a bitch, but I'll have to bring it over.
Right? No, it's okay.
I'd like to get a new laptop, but the new MacBooks don't even have the proper USB inputs that I use for my recording here of the podcast. I have to buy like a little USB hub, additional pieces just to stay on the same level with what I've got hooked up right now. It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I could see that being frustrating.
Yeah, a little bit. But hey, new shiny. I mean, I would like a new MacBook. This one's like 7 years old.
Yeah, but it's a workhorse though, man.
Yeah, it works great.
Look at the great audio that you're listening to right now is through this old laptop.
Nah, it's actually through something else, but the laptop's it still does what it needs to do.
Yeah.
74 more games coming to the FPS boost on Xbox Series S and X. A little bit of a reminder, what is FPS boost? Not the first person shooters. It's the frames, boosting the frames. So
boy, could I use an FPS boost.
Me too. My KD ratio is garbage. Don't even get me in these games. But they initially had 23 initially that they announced that they're boosting the frames on, and it wasn't that impressive of a list. A couple good titles in there. But now, kind of quietly, they just brought 74 more games up with additional frames. Developers have to do nothing. No patch, no nothing required. Just with the power of these systems, you can boost those frames up to 120 or 60, depending on the titles. And there is a long list of games there.
It's not something that needs to be patched, like you said. I thought this was automatic that they were doing for any game that you were playing. So, but now they're kind of...
Well, the games will run better just based on the SD drive. You'll have faster load times and everything. That is standard across.
Yeah. But
they're doing something behind the scenes at the game level to increase the amount of frames that the games typically would run in. So if you're playing it on an Xbox One, Xbox One X, it's going to run at, let's say, 30 frames. But you plop that same game into the other machines, the Series S and Series X, and it'll run at a higher frame rate. They probably have to, I'm assuming, do something to tell the system to say, okay, this game, go ahead and push it up to this frame rate. It doesn't automatically push up the frame rate. They have to do a little bit of voodoo behind the scenes to push up the frame rate.
It's so confusing.
I'm assuming the game was, let's say, the game's probably programmed to run at 30 frames, right?
Sure.
So if you throw that into the new box, it's not going to be like, okay, well, it's a more powerful machine, but now the game understands it can run at 60. Yeah. No, they have to teach it to understand that they can run it at a higher frame rate. Am I right? Am I right, Carl? Am I just totally butchering the whole PC thing here?
You're not wrong. On PCs, everything's unlocked on PC. So it'll run as many frames as you can manage. So if you want to run at 200 or 300 frames per second,
as much as they code it, develop it for.
But a lot of it's just open. So unless it's a serious performance thing, and when they'll cap it and be like, right, we can't really run this at anything over 120 or whatever it might be. Whereas console development's a lot different. They just can't handle. Well, particularly last generation, they just can't handle anything really over 30, depending on what you're pumping out. And even now, obviously with this generation, we're still seeing a performance mode against a graphical prettiness mode, whatever that mode's called. And I don't think that will change. The more that these games are more demanding, and the consoles just won't be able to do what the PCs can do. But then, I think the gap is getting closer.
Have you guys looked at this list of games at all? Have you checked it out? I see Battlefield 5 running at 120 frames. Titanfall 2, which I
game.
still need to play that campaign, and this may push me over the edge. Well, I don't know why. Nothing has pushed it over the edge for me so far. I don't know why this would, but 120 frames there. Far Cry 5, 120. Fallout.
If you get the TV.
Far Cry 5 is 60 frames.
There we go. That's there.
Yeah. But with FPS games, it makes a massive difference. Like with shooters, it's a huge difference frame rate. So if you've been waiting and holding off playing them games, and definitely playing with the best frame rate you can do.
Yeah, I thought that was a good point of conversation here. If you've got an Xbox Series X and a PlayStation 5, why would you play these games on anything other than the Xbox Series X? If it's running at this boosted frame rate, and most of these games are on Game Pass. So if you're a subscriber and you have an X, it's going to be the place to play these games. It's a competitive advantage. Put a tick mark on the back of their box there, Shane.
Yep.
You're checking the Best Buy store now too, right? Looking for that Xbox Series X. Yep.
Oh, believe you
it's
me,
already
buddy.
in his basket.
See, I thought the reason I asked him, I thought the Series X was already doing this because they were saying there's going to be so much more enhancements playing these games on the Series X and whatnot. I foolishly assumed, which we all know what they say about assuming. I assumed that was already they were already getting those that frame rate boost going down, but
yeah,
that's all right because the total's up to 97 games now.
Well, I think if a game were programmed at, let's say, like 30, but when you're playing it and you get into a heavy sequence, frantic moment in the game, and it gets down to like 18, those games would have stayed the consistent 30. So it would have run games more optimally.
Yeah.
But now, if they like I said, little magic behind the scenes, they can push those up to 60 or 120, depending on the titles.
Like when you'd play an old shmup on the Super Nintendo back in the day.
Oh,
and it start to slow down, and you start bobbing and weaving, and you'd be dodging all sorts of things. You'd be get that Matrix action going down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sure way to get killed, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. The Super Nintendo, it was modes. They were like, mode 7, look how great it is. And then like you play like, I'm trying to remember the name of the, what was that shoot off? God. Began with an A. Oh, man. Someone's going to shout at me for this. But I remember it was one of these games that mode 7 was like just all the super shiny, and it kicks in, and you've got all these spiraling background effects sort of while you're trying to, get a dodge out the way of the projectiles, and the slowdown was just awful. Axelay was the name of the game.
Great game.
Great game.
Great game, dude. Come on, man.
Slow down, dude.
Yeah, you and Squadron had a little bit of slowdown too.
Oh, man, you and Squadron, that game was great.
So I'm saying, man. I love the shmup. Right?
There better be no slowdown on these $500 machines. Come on.
Nah,
I don't think there will be. I bet they run like butter. It'd be great.
There you go. Gran Turismo is now an Olympic sport.
What?
You believe this?
Racing's not a sport, man.
It's video games becoming an Olympic sport. This is in carbuzz.com. Little quote here: the Olympic Virtual Series is a new, unique Olympic digital experience that aims to grow direct engagement with new audiences in the field of virtual sports, said IOC's, that's International Olympic Committee's president, Thomas Bach. Its conception is in line with the Olympic Agenda 2020 plus 5, 2025, and the IOC's digital strategy encourages sports participation and promotes the Olympic values with a special focus on youth. Underline and bold that. Special focus on youth. TV ratings, gentlemen.
Shit.
TV ratings.
Exactly.
If they want the kids watching the Olympics, they want to tear them away from their Twitch. This is what you got to do. You got to bring esports in. So it seems to me like it's a obvious thing for, boosting ratings, boosting watchers. Yeah. Smart for them to acknowledge esports. But let's call it like it is, right? It's all about the viewers.
Yeah. I mean, from a certain point of view, it does make sense. Like having video games as an Olympic sport, it is going to end up that way. When you think about the amount, the esports is just huge, and I don't know. It kind of, for me personally, it kind of goes against the very nature of being an Olympian. Being
that's what I'm saying, man.
Peak
racing,
physical condition, and But do you know what they need to do, right? They need to be like, right, because this is where they've got to think outside the box. They need to get the esports and say, right, this is what we're going to have. We're going to have a tournament of 12, 24 people all hooked to play Gran Turismo together. But first, they've got to do a triathlon, or at the very least an assault course or something, right? So they need to maybe 400 meters, and they've got to do a bit of a long jump or whatever, get through it, and then just what you'll find is the fittest ones will get at their console first. They'll be starting their racing first. That'll add an extra edge to it. You know what I mean? I can encourage fitness as well, which is what we need to do.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Right, because if I go through the drive-through McDonald's, that doesn't make me an athlete.
I don't know, man.
Depends how quickly you can stop.
You order one of them supersized soft drinks, and you're doing some bicep curls every time you put that thing to your mouth.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you the last time I had a soft drink.
It's not The Simpsons, is it? It's like Homer with a Big Mac in each arm. He's got that montage anyway. He's learning boxing, and I think he's in the freezer, and they've got the cow carcasses, and he's 1 minute he's fighting, and you turn your back, and he's eating it.
Right? Why can't we be friends? No, that's great. No, and Gran Turismo, I mean, with what they've done with Gran Turismo Sport as far as online goes, and the tournaments and whatnot, man, they've been. That's a jewel, man. That game, people. I remember first came out, man. There's lacked single player, and even myself was like, we need a little bit more for some of our single player fans, right? This is Gran Turismo we're talking about, but they took it, man, and it's the online on this game is something else, and they really. They definitely knew what they're doing and knew where to shoot, and getting it into the Olympics, making it the Olympic sport is phenomenal, and it's a testament of how great that game actually is.
Yeah, and Carl was just joking, and it's funny. You think about gaming, and you don't think about athleticism necessarily, but if you go back, and I'm gonna sound really naive because I don't watch a lot of esports, so excuse me for looking like a giant idiot here in advance. But if you go back to when we were kids, the Super Nintendo we were talking about. Your stereotypical gamer back then was a little pudgy nerd on a couch, right? It was totally a different culture. But now if you look at these esports athletes, did the air quotes in the air there to my fellas. If you look at these esports athletes, they're very young. They have the super fast reflexes, and they're exercising beyond just sitting there with their controller. They're doing their best to be in tip-top athletic shape for those reflexes. It's pretty wild, man.
Yeah,
they're not the little pudgy kid on the couch anymore. I mean, esports is legit. It's legit. It's not, I'm a runner. I like to work out. I think that's a little different than esports. But where I used to poo-poo esports, I don't. These kids are on top of their game, and they're just amazing with what they do. Just don't get me in a game with them. Don't touch my KD ratio. No way I could hang. But it's amazing that they all look young and exuberant, and they all look like they're athletically fit for what they're doing. There's so much money on the table in esports.
Oh, it's insane, dude.
Big dollars. So these kids are just investing. I say kids because it's mostly a younger athlete, if you will. But they're investing their whole life into training, and it's wild.
They're passionate, man. Extremely passionate gamers.
And it is Gran Turismo Sport that they were talking about with the Gran Turismo there. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
Start practicing.
Trying, man.
Getting the Olympics.
Never too late, Shane.
Doing my part.
That's it for news. So if you'd like to support us, a couple of ways you can do that. You can tell a friend. That's the old school way, man. Take that Super Nintendo out of the box. Put that your controller in your fanny pack. Walk on over to your buddy's house and go say, go check out that ABOG. Grab their phone, open their podcast app, hit the follow on there, help them out, hook them up. Tell a friend. You can leave a review on iTunes, wherever you listen, or you can join us on our Discord server where we don't talk at all. We suck. We really need to talk on there. Man, we're not big social media people, but hey, it's a great group of people over there. You can join Discord. Links to all of that on our website, abandofgamers.com. Hopefully it's easy to find. Just go to that website. Give a look around, check a picture of us when we were in Vancouver having some beers together.
Right?
Kind of cool. But when you're there, man, hit that Discord link. Join us up. We got a really nice Facebook message the other day. We like hearing from you. We really do. So reach out. Reach out.
Yeah.
Keep in touch. Shane, you want to read this one?
Yeah, this is from our friend Michael, and he just sent us a quick note here. He's like, "Hey, gentlemen, I'm a big fan. I've been listening for a few years now, and I thought I would send a message to show some support." Well, thank you very much, Michael. I listened to a few other gaming podcasts, but y'all my favorite. Shucks. Thank you, dude.
That's sweet.
I like to throw my earbuds in and listen to y'all talk about games and having a good time with a good beer.
Oh, yeah.
And we always do. Keep up the good work. I hope all is well. And drink one for me. Cheers.
Oh, challenge accepted.
Let's do that.
I like that he called us gentlemen as well. That's great.
Right? It feels a little more regal today. You know?
Yeah.
Well, let's share what's in our pint glasses and give Michael a cheers.
Yeah, what's the regal beagle here got in his pint glass? Huh?
He's chugging the whole thing there.
Right?
Okay, I'll get us started. I've got, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this place. It's 1840 Brewing here in Bayview,
Ooh,
Milwaukee area.
Startup?
Yeah, a little startup. Nah, they've been around.
Bayview in the Midwest, or?
Yeah, Midwest, Milwaukee area. Of course, I'm joking because I talk about this brewery every other week practically. It's my favorite. But 1840 Brewing, they've been doing some IPAs lately. I'm picking them up, and they got a double IPA. It's an 8%. What's that? That's a Piston Hurricane, right? 8%. That's not too heavy.
Yeah, you're right in the Piston Honda. You're in that middleweight.
It's middleweight. We've actually got a table now. 8 to 9% middleweight.
Do we have a table? Did we start that?
Yeah, we did.
Okay,
I did it the other week.
But you're right, you did. Why am I not referring to that? You did all this work, and then I just totally ignore it.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
Make shit up.
I'll keep it open. Yeah, middleweight, 8 to 9%.
This is a double Mosaic. Brewed and double dry hop with the Mosaic Incognito. Brewed with Mosaic Incognito and double dry hopped with Mosaic Cryo. Oops. These two forms of advanced hop products concentrate on all of the terpy goodness of the hops while reducing vegetable matter. Result is a juicy hop explosion that you want to enjoy over and over. Well, I guarantee I vouch. You do want to enjoy this over and over. I'm sipping mine. I'm afraid I'm going to have 3 of these right now. They're so good. That's what I got, man. 1840 Infinite Encore.
Oh, 1840.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Shane, what do you got?
Well, it was for the last episode. The old Regal Beagle here was drinking this Belgian, this dark red triple, Gulden Draak ish. And so I took a boo in the local liquor store, the LC, and kept my eye open, and I saw some there, so I had to grab one. I wanted to try one of these. I do enjoy Belgian beer, and Carl's was pretty impressed with it, so had to try it. If the boys are impressed with the beer, I gotta keep my eye open and try it for myself. So here goes.
Nice. Looking forward to this.
Beautiful color, man. Smells good too, man. I don't smell beers. I'm not one of those guys like, the nose on. Do you? Nah, drink your beer. Let's have a good conversation. That's what I'm about. ABOG is what I'm about. Smells good, man. Good beer.
You can smell a beer. Come on, you can give it a little sniff. I mean, it's inevitable. You tip that pint glass, your nose is right in there. You're smelling it whether you want to or not.
Oh, this is tasty, boys. Joel, I'm looking at you, son. You got to find one of these and try one.
The heat is on. All right. I'll be on the lookout.
Very creamy. Surprisingly.
If you can get it up there in Canada and he's got it over there in England, it's probably...
I'm sure you can get it.
Beer capital of the world right here. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm not gonna brag or anything, but come on, this is the beer
of the U.S.
right here. No, okay.
The world, exactly. I mean, the world. I mean, the world's a big place, But that's tremendous amount of great brews in the Midwest there, in the specifically the Milwaukee area.
We need to start a Patreon. No, we're not. But we need to get Shane to Milwaukee. And just pour some beers down his throat. Prove my theory.
100%. Hey, man.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of hard work, doesn't it?
No, worth it.
What?
She'll be like, I've got to go to, I just got some work I need to get done. Well, best book a couple of weeks, mate.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you tried that one because it was recommended to me, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll give it a go. And man, it's creamy. It's really really good, strong though. It's cruiserweight. I think we said 10% to 11%.
10.5.
Right bang in the middle of that cruiserweight. And a lot of the beers we've had, some of them are hard to find, and all the rest of it. And I've had a few people come to me and say, Carl, you're getting through a few of these beers on Untapped. We love when you order these beers in and all the rest of it. But what about some supermarket beers? What about a few that we can just go and grab? And the beer I've got tonight, a few people have said to me, you've got all these BrewDog beers. You drink a load of these. What about the Double Punk? So BrewDog's first beer was Punk IPA, and it's kind of the beer that started it all for them. It is an IPA, but it's kind of more like a lager, really. So this is like a double strength version of it. So it weighs in at 8.2%. It is, more like a lager. You can see it's pretty transparent. It's not very, very thick at all. This is the first taste. I'm doing it live.
Get that.
And he goes in for the sip.
Drank like a third of it with his first taste. Okay, a fifth.
It's like a punk. You can taste that strength in there. Still got all the citrus and, the kind of, it's like a lager, somewhere between a lager and a craft beer. That you get that,
nice.
You get the taste of the IPA, but kind of the refreshing heat of the, just a nice cold lager. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, well, I definitely recommend that. I think, though, if you're going to drink something around that percentage in a BrewDog, you might as well go with the hazy or the double or triple hazy, Jane. But, good beer, Double Punk.
Nice, boys.
All right, raise them glasses.
See? We did it again, man. We got through another what we're drinking.
Yeah. Still standing.
This segment goes out to Michael. Michael Fraser, thank you very much for writing in. We appreciate you. This is for you. Cheers.
Cheers, Michael. Thanks a lot, man.
Cheers, Michael.
Look at the sentiment there, Shane. Going down that glass, leaving them marks.
I'd be licking that glass clean.
That's a good idea. I don't know. Might have to do that.
On his last one.
You need like a Gene Simmons tongue to get up in there and get all that. Ooh. But yeah.
Save that for another show. That's where the Patreon comes in. That's the X-rated stuff.
All right, Carl, you're going to give Shane and I a opportunity here to drink some more of our beer while you share your thoughts on Returnal. I've been waiting all week for this. I can't wait to hear what you think of this game.
You know it.
Don't make me want a PS5. No, seriously. Tell me how good Returnal is. I can handle it.
Oh man. So for those of you living under a bit of a rock, Returnal's kind of the game that they showcased, and it was, an astral lady, and she was kind of crashing on a planet, and it all looked a bit, a regular shooter, a bit of a kind of survival horror-y kind of vibe to it. Made by Housemarque, the guys behind Resogun on the PS4, which I thoroughly enjoyed when that came out. So they've got a shmup background, it's fair to say.
And Dead Nation.
Dead Nation.
Oh yeah.
And it's very much, this is a third-person shmup, basically. So if you think about all the things that you've enjoyed from those games, the bullet hell aspects, very much present in this. It's set in the third person. It's a roguelite game, I guess, for me. But there are very much psychological horror elements thrown in there. So the setting for the game is kind of, if you kind of borrow things from different sci-fi movies over the years, like Alien and Prometheus and things like that, it gives very much those kind of vibes. And the story is pretty simple. You're in a spaceship, you're coming to land on a planet to investigate some signal that's been beamed out, and you crash land on the planet. And the premise of the game pretty much is you die and keep going back to life with little memories coming back about what's gone on before, and you keep coming back to life in your ship, crashing on the planet, or you're alive on the planet, and gradually, as you die and then respawn again, more aspects of the story are kind of revealed you slowly but surely. It's kind of like it's not a Resident Evil kind of game, but there are certainly like psychological horror parts to it. It's kind of like a little bit dark and a little bit creepy, but not too bad in parts. And it's very much got that feel. In terms of the shooting, there's no ammo. You basically got unlimited ammunition, which is great in a shmup. You need that, and it's got like an overheating mechanism with an active reload, Joel. So if you think about like Gears of War, you just stop it in the middle, reload your weapon and stuff like that, which gives you a bit of a bonus. You don't want to mess up your reloads in this game because the bullets come thick and fast, and as you're going through, you from the third person point of view, you've got these monsters that kind of drop in, and each one of them have got different attack patterns, different kind of projectile attacks, and all the rest of it. It can get very hectic. It's a very difficult game. This is why I said in the prefix of the show, losing my reflexes definitely feels like it in this game. It's pretty brutal in parts. You can sprint through. You've got a dash to evade projectiles. When you dash, you're invulnerable, so you can just kind of get through them and survive that way. It's got a very slow recharge. Very quick recharge. So you're not waiting too long before you could use it again. And in terms of collectibles through there, it's one of these games with a lot of roguelikes. You can pick up things that kind of stay through your runs. So with Hades, you have certain items that you would pick up and they're permanent. You have certain buffs, certain collectible items. You unlock weapons as you go, and you can pick those weapons up again. Returnal's a little bit different in that a couple of things are unlocked and they do carry through, but the benefit of them is pretty small. And every time you pick up a weapon in a run, you have to build up a proficiency in the weapons that you're using to unlock elements of it. So like each weapon has a secondary attack, and on your first kind of playthrough, you'll unlock that for those weapons. But each time you pick up a new weapon, it might have a homing projectile, and you've got to get a certain amount of kills with it to raise your proficiency. And once you unlock that, it's unlocked the next run, if you like. So there's certain elements of those weapons which you will. Once you've played through enough times, they're all unlocked, and anything you pick up, you can just pick up and use. We talk about no loading times in games. This has got no loading times for real.
It's a PlayStation 5 exclusive, right? So it's,
yes,
as Sony said before the launch of the PlayStation 5, they're not. They kind of poked at Xbox a little bit and said, we are all about making games specific to the next console, and this is like their first or one of the first to use like the full horsepower of PS5, right?
Yes, for sure. And we'll come back to the looks of it in a minute, which it's well, I'll come on to that in a second. Yeah,
I like the sound of the roguelike as far as being able, every time you're upgrading your weapons, that's permanent. So even though it's a hard game and you're dying a lot, the grind is causing you to increase your capabilities, your weapons, making it easier subsequent times somewhat, right? Playing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So like you will unlock the secondary purpose of that weapon, but what you will do is in each playthrough, as you play the game, you'll build up a weapon proficiency. So you start at 0, and then you get to level 1, level 2, level 3, and that impacts the weapons that become available to you on that run. So you need to spend time with a weapon you've got, kill a load of enemies, and then you want to open the chests. Then you want to get the new weapons because they'll be of a higher standard, but you need to do that work on each individual playthrough, which makes it a little bit more difficult, although the actual perks of the weapons you unlock permanently. So the next time you pick it up, like, oh, brilliant, I've got that scatter shot as my secondary to use. And one of the great things about the secondaries, and I'll come to the DualSense in a minute, but when you've got this secondary feature for your weapon, which is kind of like an instant kill, or kill an enemy straight away. Once you've used it, there isn't an on-screen prompt. It's all in the controller and it's all in your ears. So the 3D audio will have like a tiny little sound effect in the background, like something like a winding up sound effect. And then when it's fully charged and it's available to use again, there'll be like a little ding, like, microwave, it's done, ding, and there'll be a little flash on the screen to say your secondary attack is ready to be used, which is pretty cool. Like it's something else you don't need to look at. You can hear it whirring in the background, and you think, okay, where's the marker that I can use that attack again? Which is it's a cool function. Wow. I really like that. But when I talk about zero load times, like literally, this game has no loading. Like you boot the game up, immediately you're crashing your ship, and you get out the ship, and you're like, okay, and you go through the level. When you die, you're immediately back in the ship. You're immediately reliving the crash, or you're coming out of the ship again, or you're just waking up on the floor, and that's kind of the loading, if you like. But it doesn't feel like it's a loading screen or anything like that. It's very cleverly done. It's very much in the background. There's no loading between areas that you go into, and all the rest of it's all instant. It feels, when you do die, that you're straight back in the action pretty quick, and the runs aren't quick. You can be doing this for an hour and a half, and then you die, and you're like, bloody hell. And it doesn't give you the same feel of a pick up and play, and again, I'll use Hades as a reference, Joel, because I know you played it. When you're you can unlock some stuff, you're like, brilliant, I'm going to feel the benefit of that in my next run. I don't think it gives you that pick up and play, just one more go kind of vibe as much as some of these other roguelike games do. But it's still very, very, very accomplished at it. As you go through the levels, and to talk about unlocking chests and things like that, there's a lot of collectibles that you'll pick up as you go through, and some of the chests that you open have a chance to corrupt your armor, basically your spacesuit. So a lot of the things about collectibles are very risk versus reward. Yes, you can pick up, you can open up a chest and get a weapon out of it, but it might corrupt you, and you might have a deficit somewhere. It might destroy some of your currency. It might make you take fall damage, which you don't take in the game normally, and things like that. So there's a lot of things about picking things up and collecting those, which should I do that, or should I save that? A lot of these things stay on the ground, so you can kind of come back to an area afterwards and collect some things, and use a bit of thought to how you got to challenge the levels. Biggest problem with the game, and I'll say it straight away, is you can't save your progress. So,
I was just going to ask that question, because you said hour and a half sometimes, and you got to start over. I was curious, because I don't always have an hour and a half to play something.
Exactly. And this is what a lot of people are complaining about. So for me, if I get up in the morning at 7 o'clock and I'm like, I can do an hour before work, and I get so far through and I'm like, I really don't have the time to carry on, but I don't want to save. Well, I'd like to save and quit. There's no way of doing it. So the only way of doing it is by putting your PS5 into rest mode and, suspending the game, essentially, which, as Shane knows, there have been issues with the rest mode on the PlayStation 5. It's crashed for a few people. It's been fixed with patches a lot. But if you do decide to do that, you've also got to turn the auto updates off for the game, because if the game does auto update, it'll wipe out your run as well. So that's happened to me.
That's too bad.
Frustrating.
I like that. I kind of like the sound of that in a way. It forces you to invest in it and invest some time, where you're not just gonna just pick it up and just have it go for a bit while you're killing time or whatever. You need to be invested into this game. It's going to need your undivided attention, and I think that's kind of old school as well. Like old school shmup, you can save halfway through the level, you got to be in it to win it, and if not, then so I think that's kind of unique, and it's just something that gamers haven't. A lot of gamers probably have never had to deal with in a game. I think a lot of them just aren't old enough to remember those days where, there was no saving. You had to be good. You had to get better. You had to learn. You had to memorize. And I think, and it's a kind of a throwback to that old school style of game. But I mean, they'll end up going to be patching it in because people are upset. But I think that's kind of neat. Yeah. At least they're giving that a go and doing something different like that.
Yeah, but with these systems, typically you can just pause the game, put it in sleep mode, and you're fine. Which I'm sure they probably thought about Rather than offering the save, they thought like, well, just throw it in a rest mode, hit the pause, come back to it later.
Exactly, which you can do. Like you can totally, if you turn off auto updates, you can put your PS5 in rest mode and it will stay. Unless the PS5 crashes, obviously. But so that's what I tend to do. And you're right, Shane. It's very much in the age that we are now. It's a luxury, isn't it? That we still remember those days.
Exactly.
You're playing on a cartridge with no save, and you've got to get through it, or you turn it off, and you go home. And it's one of those things. It hasn't bothered me at all, really. But I'm sitting down to with the conscious thought of I'm going to put aside a couple of hours. Like I'm going to try.
Yeah.
But it does give you that push. Like if I'm like I've got half an hour and I've unlocked the gate because one thing about this game, the map is awesome. Like I love the map. On a lot of roguelike games, you don't kind of know where you go. You'll pick a door to go through. You'll have a route of places to go. This is completely randomly generated each time. So the levels, although the individual area within each gate is the same, they're in a completely different order, so you don't know where they are. And you need all of them on each playthrough to give yourself the best chance of beating the boss. So the way that it's all jumbled up, you could have one run and everything's there, and it's like, oh excellent, I've got all this to go through. But other times you might have to search for it, even though you've got the gateway to the boss ready in there. You might not quite be ready, but you might have 10-20 minutes left. So you've then got to be like, right, I've got to push myself and just to try the boss because I know that I can't save my game. So it's super interesting in one way. But it is, I think, something that they're going to patch in. I think people have asked for an easy mode to be patched in as well, which I don't know if I agree with that, really. I'm not great at this game, but I thoroughly enjoyed my time playing it. Like, I still want to have another go, and get back in there. Graphically, it's pretty, but it's not like, it doesn't blow you away. You boot it up and you're like, okay, it's a little bit blurry here and there, and, maybe it's not the prettiest game on a PS5, and this game is $70, right? So this is always an issue, I think, this generation for me personally. As you play it and as you move, all those kind of jagged edges and they kind of get less important because you're moving so quickly. When it's moving, the game's beautiful. Particle effects are out of this world. Like, that's the game's bread and butter. They're really stunning. You get these little teleporters, like a bubble, and you'll go and step inside and you'll teleport, press the triangle, teleport, and your character breaks down into like hundreds of minute little particles, and they all shimmer around each other, move around each other, and shoot off into a direction of the new teleporter and just travel through the air. And from a technical standpoint, the particle effects are great. You destroy these statues and stuff, and they break down into hundreds of tiny parts, and they all move in different directions uniquely. So from that point of view, the performance is brilliant, but it just doesn't look as good as a Demon's Souls, for example. Lighting's really good. I don't think it's ray tracing, but it looks like something similar. Again, reflections and all that, decent. And in terms of the frame rate, it runs brilliantly. Like, it's smooth, really smooth. Couple of moments I've noticed a bit of slowdown when there's so many enemies on screen and so many projectiles, but nothing worth worrying about, nothing worth moaning about. It doesn't impact your performance. It's very minimal. The dual sense is awesome in this game, and I know this is something we talk about with the PS5 exclusives, but man, it rains in the game and you feel it in the controller. Like, it's unreal. You feel the rain when you got the 3D audio as well. You hear the raindrops, like on the right hand side or above your head, and you feel it in the corresponding spot on the controller. That's awesome.
Wow.
Like,
Nice.
You feel the pitter patter and you hear it at the same. It's mental. It's really cool. And this secondary attack I was talking about with the guns, like, if you basically hold the left trigger in halfway, it stops it with the haptic feedback for your main gun. And if you force it through and hold it down, it uses your secondary fire. So you don't have to press a separate button or anything like that. You literally just, hold it down, fire your main weapon, push it a bit further, click it, and then use your secondary. Like, it's really cool. the way that they've used the controller.
Sounds pretty awesome, man.
It's a really good game.
Talk about immersion, right? 3D audio with the actual tactile feedback of the controller, the haptic feedback.
Yeah. Definitely want to play with headphones because it is quite atmospheric, as well as you can hear where the attacks are coming from. You know, in the audio as well. 3D audio works really well on this game. But I was really surprised. I wasn't expecting anything from it, and it's a really, really hard game. There's no getting around that, and it is unforgiving. But if after a couple of hours, you forget about the fact that it's a 3D behind the shoulder action game, and you think about it as a shoot 'em up. And I think when that clicks, you know, all the old reflexes and all the old thought processes come into play, you know, in terms of what you're trying to do and how you think of yourself as a ship then, you know, in a strange way. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And I keep wanting to go back and play more. And I think there's 5 biomes, which are like worlds in the game to get through. And once you beat one, the teleportation area, so the next level opens up within your map. So you do have to start on that first level again, but you can just run through. And as soon as you get your gateway, you can be straight off to the second level or whatever it might be. So yeah, looking forward to playing more. I don't know how far I'll get because I'm not great at it, but certainly enjoying it. A sleeper hit, I think, for these for the PS5.
I think the world needs some harder games. They don't all need to offer a puss mode. You know, but I think the problem here though is, and this is a little bit of an Xbox thing. All my first party games are on Game Pass. I can try a game or decide if I want to buy a game, right? Before actually releases. But if you throw your $70 down and you're not fully prepared for that, I could see where you may want a puss mode or something, you know? Like I just paid $70. I want to get through the game. I didn't have an opportunity to try it. But that aside, I think every game deserves, every system, the world deserves some hard games. You know, part of why I love Super Stardust by Housemarque, same developer. That game was hard.
Oh, that game was so good.
But the more you played it, the more rewarding it would get. The further you got. But then again, it wasn't an hour and a half or 2 hours or 3 hours to get to those points either.
You could potentially pick up and play for 20 minutes if you liked.
Yeah.
Ish.
You know, it's one of those games. There's little tricks here and there. You know, you can teleport back to. There's different teleportation points around the game. So, if you want to go back, you heal in your ship. Basically, you can get back to your ship and go to bed, and you'll fully heal. So, if you want to do that every now and again, you can totally do it. But it just extends your playtime. You know, there's ways and means to try and make it easier. But then, obviously, if you get to the boss and you fail, then it's like you've done 4 hours in it rather than rushing through and trying to do it in an hour or half an hour, you know. So it's totally risk versus reward. That's all the game is, really. But it's fun. It's definitely fun. I just don't know if I would pay $70 to buy the game. It's tough. I think if you like this kind of games, and if you love the challenge, if you love a difficult game, then you're going to enjoy it. But it's no cakewalk.
Need to see some videos on this. I'm just curious how it kind of looks with how a third person shmup kind of looks. Be curious to see some vids.
Yeah, our friend of the show, Dave Malosh, has been streaming it quite a bit on his Facebook and on Twitch and whatnot.
Nice.
And I've caught him a few times playing through it and just kind of watching and seeing, and it's pretty wild. Like Carl said about those particle effects, they're pretty crazy. Like when you blast a pillar or whatnot, it's into like 500 pieces. It's pretty wild. Pretty cool game.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you, Carl. Waiting for those impressions.
You're welcome.
All week long. Who wants to read the big stream media? You got Carl here. Yeah,
I'll do our best. You know what I mean?
That's the whole point of what we do here.
Well,
Chickens on the Road. E-penis. And I was prepping for the show here, and I plugged this into our website, getting ready for the show post, and I saw it was already tagged. Shane, did you play this before?
Yes, I have.
All right, there you go. I figured.
That's okay.
Figured. Got to get that number up.
right?
Yeah,
Buy one.
exactly. And every now and again, I'll play one of these games, and I think, and Shane's recommended it to me, and I'm like, oh, I've got to give that a go. And I think he might have even undersold this. Like, you think Road Bustle. Road Bustle was a great, easy plat, wasn't it? You're there, you play the chicken. You're trying to get across the road. And imagine, just for a minute, just imagine, right, the concept of playing as the car.
Yes.
Over the chicken.
Let's go.
Like, just take yourself away and think about that. So far out the box, it's unreal. And yeah, man, this is an easy plat. This is a straightforward, nice and simple. Not exactly time intensive. Probably took 10 minutes. I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And super easy, super straightforward. And one of them games, I think you just plug in, give it a go, and just got to watch that number go up, man. Nice, easy plat, but it's great to see. Yeah, it's like 79 pence in the UK, and it's great to see such an easy game get a sequel, and a quick. It come out the gates pretty quick as well. You know what I mean? So nice, easy plat.
Yeah, get some chickens, get some points, bigger chickens, bigger points. Take them down. I think you got to hit like 15,000 points or something, and then boom, you get your plat.
Don't eat those green chickens. No one wants to eat a green chicken.
Ooh,
a green chicken.
Unless it's one of my favorite types of chicken, that Argentinian chimichurri. That's some green chicken, which is deadly. One of my favorites. I love chimichurri.
Yeah, that sounds good,
buddy.
Getting hungry. Anything else, guys?
Rip.
Shut it down.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's it? You got nothing?
No, we gotta get back to, you gotta play some games, man. It's summertime, man. I can't go out. I don't go out in the sun. I gotta stay indoors, man. I gotta keep my pasty legs. So
you gotta get them vitamin D, man. This times call for vitamin D.
Oh, I got plenty of D vitamins.
Oh yeah.
As soon as I hit stop, we'll stick around. I'm gonna teach you what the importance of vitamin D. Oh, you got a half hour, Shane?
I got that D3.
Oh.
I take the D3. You gotta get, if you can take vitamin D, you make sure you get your D3.
No, man, you need the sun.
No, man,
you soak it in. You get the proper vitamin D.
No, man.
Yeah. All right.
It'll kill you.
Too much happening.
Sun, and then all of a sudden,
ready to stop.
Starts to turn and whatnot. And by the end of it, you end up looking like an unstuffed leather couch, man. Nobody wants to see that, man.
No, you don't want no skin cancer. I'm not advocating any of that.
No.
I'm not saying slather yourself up and go lay in there with your shirt off and turn into some sort of raisin.
Right, like Kenny Rogers chicken.
Just a walk a day at least, man. Get some vitamin D.
So Kramer was getting out of all that sunburn from the neon sign,
basting himself.
Oh
my god!
Rip.
I've watched a ton of Seinfeld lately.
Oh, it's brilliant.
On YouTube, they always like bloopers and.
Yes.
Oh my god! Get going on that for hours.
You got to check out on Instagram, like Costanzagram or whatnot. There's so many great, and they just have like the little clips, like a couple times a day that'll come up, and it's just classic stuff.
Total classic.
It's such a rabbit hole, though, isn't it? When you start going down that, you start like, I'm just going to watch one of the, that's funny. And then 3 hours later, you're still watching bloopers.
I think I did it though. I think I've officially watched every guitar video ever made on YouTube.
Nice.
Yeah. Tens of thousands of videos. I think I finally watched them all. I've got the same repeat shit coming up now. Can't take it anymore.
You get that red bar at the bottom. You're like, oh, I've seen it.
I don't care about your guitars anymore. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I care. I've watched too many. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. We hope to hear from you. Thanks for your support. Thanks for putting us in your ear holes every other week. Until next time. See ya.
Tell a friend.
Cheers, guys.
Peace.